Fran. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well. I want to kind of start with where it all started from with you, being from the Dominican Republic. How would you describe life in the Dominican?
Life over there is tough for a lot of kids that want to play basketball and come here to the U.S.
And you said it's tough. What's tough about it in the Dominican for those that want to come and play basketball here?
The opportunities are not there. There's not a lot of opportunities for people like me. You have to be lucky in order to be able to come here, or know a lot of people in order to be able to come to the U.S. to see your dream here.
And so for you, Fran, when you were working to get here, when you said it's really difficult to come from the Dominican to America, what was your journey like? How did you get here?
So, at first place, I was born here, so
Yeah.
it wasn't that really hard for me. But uh, when I was 15, I went to a camp in the Dominican Republic for a foundation called FDM,
Yeah.
and they brought a lot of kids here to from the Dominican to here with scholarships, and I was lucky to be one of those kids.
And so, like you said, I mean, you being born here makes it a little bit easier. But when you got to do that as a teenager and go to the Dominican, what did that opportunity create for you and that scholarship create for you?
So it allowed me to come to the U.S. I came to California, to Stockton, California, with a scholarship in a private school.
And
Yeah.
when you went there, when you went off to California, this journey for you taking you out to the West Coast, what did you learn about America being out there? What did you learn about basketball here when you got to play in California?
I learned a lot. The first thing I learned is that I had to work my butt off because it wasn't the same basketball as the one that we play in the Dominican. So I had to adjust to the speed of the game, to the system and everything.
And when you say it's different and you talk about the speed being different, what other parts of the game of basketball do you feel like were different between the Dominican and America?
They here in the US we play more like system than in the Dominican. The Dominican we run a lot. That's what we do the most.
Do you like this? Do you like it here now? I mean, now that you played it for a while, do you feel like you've gotten accustomed to the, Americanized side of basketball, or do you miss the way that the Dominican plays?
I kinda like more the American basketball.
Okay. You like it? What do you like more about it now?
I like the fact that because I'm really good at playing system. So
And
that playing system helped me out a lot to show out my game.
do you have a system that you like more than others? Do you have a way of play that you like more?
Mm, I like to run because I'm from the DR, but I like to also get the ball in the post, kick it back, play, get my all my teammates involved.
And so you come to Alfred. So we talk about this. You're born in the U.S. You go back to the Dominican. You play and you get a scholarship. You come to California. So you've had this kind of like back and forth road to where you are today. How did you end up at Alfred?
It was a long story because I when I my first school in California closed my sophomore year, so I had to transfer to Virginia. And then in Virginia, my season got canceled again, so I had to go to Texas. And then I finished like half of a year in Texas, and then I went back to Cali to San Diego to finish school in San Isidro in San Diego.
And then how did you go from San Diego to Alfred?
Because I spent 4 years far from my family, and I wanted to be like close to them, to my sister, uncle, and all that. So I wanted to come to New York, and Coach Canfi offered me a great opportunity to come here and play for him.
Did he tell you how he found you going through this whole process of California to Virginia to Texas back to California? Did he tell you like when he came across your film or how he connected with you?
No, I actually sent my emails to him, and then
Okay.
he liked me.
So you send your stuff out to him. What was it about Alfred? Were you just looking up schools in New York? I mean, how did you find Alfred?
Yeah, I was looking at schools in New York,
Where's now? And you talked about your sister and your family. Where do they live in New York?
in the city, New
In
York City.
Okay. So did you apply to other schools in New York? Did you reach out to other schools in New York?
No, after I talked to Coach Canfi, I felt like this was a great opportunity for me.
So it was kind of like, I guess, meant to be. When you were looking up schools in New York, you found Alfred. How did you find Alfred when you were looking stuff up? Did you just type in New York schools? Did you? I mean, because obviously Alfred's in the western part of New York, a little bit away from New York City. So how did you find Alfred?
I just type in schools in New York City, and then I
Okay.
look up the roster, look up the coach's email, and send the emails.
And so you looked up New York City. You found one that's outside of New York City in Alfred. When they told you, hey, it's a few hours away, did that matter to you?
Not really, but it was funny because since it was far from the city, Coach Canfi wanted me to come and a visit, but I didn't want to come because I felt like I was already committed. So when I came here, that's when I realized more that I wanted to come here.
So you came for a visit. You got on campus. What did you do when you came for the visit?
I they took me to all they took me around campus. They showed me everything. Showed me basketball court, the gyms, and all that.
What did you like about it? When you said you already felt like you were committed, but you came on to see the school, when you saw the facilities, when you walked around, what did you like? What did you take away?
I kind of like that it was far from a lot of places because I can focus better like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you said, you're coming from California, you're Virginia, Texas, and whatnot. Do you like that it's? I mean, still to this day, do you like being at Alfred where it's more quiet, it's more small community? Like you said, it can help your focus. Now that you've had some time at Alfred, do you feel like that's the right place for you?
Yeah, I feel like it is because Alfred's a great community. Even if we're small, we have a lot of great people here.
We talk about your journey here with Fran Valenzuela of the Dominican Republic, who is at Alfred University on the men's basketball team in this edition of Saxons Spotlight, exclusive to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Fran, going through the history that you've had, how would you describe this journey when we're discussing it? I mean, you're a young kid, yet you've been here in the States, you've been out to California, after going back to the Dominican. You've been Virginia, you've been Texas, then you went back to California again, and now you're in New York. How would you describe this road when you reflect on it in this long journey that you've had? What comes to mind for you when you think about it?
I feel like that's a lot of experience. I struggle a lot. I struggle a lot because I was never the best player or the one that you always look first, but I was always the hardest worker.
Yeah.
So from every place that I went, I learned a lot of stuff that took me to the and that made me the player that I am today and the person that I am today.
And when you say that, you got to learn a lot about who you are today, who are you today?
I feel like I'm great Joe man that is looking to fight for his dreams. Yeah,
Do you miss the Dominican?
I do sometimes, but I always go back.
You said you always go back. When was the last time you went?
I went for the summer.
Oh, okay. So paint a picture. I've never been to the Dominican Republic. I've been to Puerto Rico, but I've never been to the Dominican. How would you describe life in the Dominican?
It's not bad. It's not as the way that people look. That people think that we struggle a lot to eat to do anything. It's pretty good actually. We're a really close community, and we have love for each other.
So you said it's not really like how people describe it, which I've heard about a lot of places. You know, I just had somebody come on the show, Nekawan Mark Don, who came on the show, and him and I had a conversation about Liberia, Africa, and he said it's not like what the news shows you. How do you react to that when you see the news talk about the Dominican and it's usually in a negative way? When you see that in America, but you know that's not the truth of the Dominican, how do you kind of take that? Does it bother you that they misrepresent your country?
Not really, because I know where I'm from, and I know what I have seen.
So if we went to the Dominican right now, you and I went on a trip today, what food are we eating? And keep in mind, I have Hispanic heritage as well, so I want to know, paint a picture. What are we getting? What are we getting to eat?
Uh, White rice, beans, and chicken.
And chicken. All right. Okay. Are you cooking? Are you making any of this food? Somebody else cooking? Who's cooking?
Somebody else cooking.
Who's cooking?
Somebody else make my mom cook.
Your mom will cook. Okay. What now? And if we were spending a day just exploring the Dominican, where are we going? What are we doing? What's on the agenda for the day?
There's a lot of stuff. There's beach. Uh, there's a lot of stuff. I can't even tell you all of it.
Well, and I will say this too, being part Hispanic, and I've learned Spanish over time. I was working down in Florida. I was working in Disney, and typically when I would go to work, people would come up to me, and they would think I was Dominican, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Spanish, whatever. But I realized the dialects were so different. So somebody would come up to me, and what I heard almost every day, if not every week, was they'd see my name tag and they say Daniel, and I'd say see, and they say speak a Spanish. One woman came up to me from the Dominican, and she spoke so fast, and it was faster than I had heard, the Spanish language spoken before. When you hear people from other Spanish speaking countries speak the language, do you feel like the Dominican kind of way of speaking Spanish is more rapid or no?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and there's like different things that you say. So, like so when somebody says gracias, I learned de nada. But down in Puerto Rico, they say no hay de qué. Is there something that's like that in the Dominican Republic? Like, is it gracias de nada, or is it no hay de qué, or do you say something else for your welcome? Because I know
yeah.
there's certain
We,
things.
we say the same thing.
No hay de qué.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you have a favorite place to go in the Dominican? You said there's so many things to do. Do you have like a place that when you go home you have to go to?
Mm. I love going to the beach when I'm there.
Okay. You like going to the
Yeah.
beach? Is there any beach in America that reminds you of home or no?
Actually, I haven't go to a lot of beaches in the U.S.
So you haven't experienced it yet. You got to. I kind of want to know, like, if you went to a beach in Florida or like California or something like that, if it would remind you of it. But the Dominican, known obviously, like you said, for the beach, for the food. Where do you see yourself in the future? Do you want to stay here in America and build your life? Do you want to go back home after Alfred? What are your thoughts?
No, I think I'm gonna stay here after I'm done with college
So you're at Alfred, you're studying computer science. Why did you choose that?
because I always had a passion for uh, programming and computers
What
and
do you want to
math.
do? Do you have a certain job that you want?
Maybe I want to be a software engineer.
A software engineer. All right, cool. Because as a president and CEO of my company and dealing with all this technology, there's sometimes things that don't work or they don't work as fast as I need them to. So if you become a software engineer, then I'm gonna have to call you up and have you help me out.
Hopefully, yeah.
So before we wrap up here, we're going to play rapid fire in a couple minutes. We're here with Fran Valenzuela of the Dominican Republic and Alfred Saxons men's basketball team. You come to Alfred University, like you said, you looked up schools. in New York City. You found one that was a little ways out. When you told me that you felt like you were committed when you spoke to the coaching staff, you looked it up, you sent them your film, they reach out to you. When you said you felt like you were committed before you even came on campus and that you didn't even have to come on campus, why did you feel like you were already committed to Alfred?
because I felt it was a great opportunity. I felt I felt familiarity with the coaching staff, and that's really all I care about.
Did they feel different than other coaches that you've had?
Yeah,
What was it? I mean, when you say that you felt familiar with them, what is it about the coaching staff at Alfred that was so positive for you that you could feel committed to them from across the country?
I feel like I feel like they were too caring about their players,
And do you
and
feel
that's
like now that you've been there, is it do you feel that even more?
yeah, really.
So you're on the team, season's coming up. How would you describe the team for men's basketball at Alfred this year?
We're gonna be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now where do you see yourself, position wise and the type of player that you are? How do you view yourself on the court? How would you describe kind of your game?
I'm mostly an energy guy. I can play outside and inside, and I'm really good rebounding.
Do you see yourself as a dominant front court guy, or are you a guy that can step out and hit a big time shot?
I feel like I'm a step up guy.
Okay. And the game's obviously changed over time, right? We used to have small guards, big guys underneath. Now we have 7 footers shooting threes. So how did that affect your game at all? The fact that basketball has kind of changed. Did you change the way that you practice? Did you change the way that you kind of train yourself with basketball changing?
Not really, because that's the same thing I told you before. Since I went to a lot of schools, I went to a lot of different type of trainings
Yeah.
that made me improve and help me out for this time.
Do you have a favorite player in the NBA right now?
I like LeBron James,
You like LeBron? Okay. Favorite part of LeBron's game?
that he dominates.
It's probably the best answer I've ever heard. So that he dominates. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna play rapid fire here with Fran Valenzuela of the Dominican Republic and the Alfred University Saxons men's basketball team in this edition of the Saxons Spotlight. We're gonna have 3 questions apiece. Fran will ask me, and I will ask him, and we'll go back and forth. None of this is pre-planned. I don't know his questions. He doesn't know mine. Fran, you can ask me anything in the world. What do you got?
How do you start?
How did I start doing this? So I started writing when I was 5 years old. I would just write stories. I'd use my dad's word processor, which is now in my office. And it was a big old typewriter, weighed more than me. And there was a little screen where you could see what you were typing, which typically you didn't get from a typewriter. And I remember being 5 years old and get climbing up and kind of sitting on the chair in the kitchen table, and just writing stories. And I just loved doing that. And then I started collecting cards, and I was like, okay, I like watching sports because my parents always had sports games on. So I'd watch sports, I'd collect cards, and I'd flip to the back and I'd start memorizing the stats. And there were so many times I didn't even realize I was memorizing it. And then Sports Center came on, and I thought to myself, like, I love sports. I love collecting cards. I love telling stories. I love bringing people together. I love making people smile. And it kind of just all blended together into, wanting to be a sportscaster that branched out to being a broadcaster. Now we do a Disney show, we do an entertainment show, we do a travel show, we do a relationship show. And I just really love bringing people together. I love learning about people. I love showing you that you matter and giving you a spotlight. And I feel like, people feel comfortable talking with me. I feel like I can create that environment because I am honest and I care. And I think there's no substitute to being an honest person and a caring person and a loving person. So I think, what you'll learn, Fran, is once you're on the show, you're always welcome to come back. And I just love building relationships and see people smile. And, I love learning. I mean, you're the first of the 4,000 plus guests we've had on the show at this point. You're the first, I think, Dominican guest that I've had in the sport of basketball. So to me, that's just so cool to be able to share your story and have some fun with that.
I guys.
So, okay, my first question for you. It's Hispanic Heritage Month. What is your favorite thing about being Hispanic?
The food.
That's a very good answer.
Yeah.
So you said rice, beans, and chicken before. Is that your go-to, or do you have another dish that you'd like to share?
Nah, that's my go-to.
That's your go-to? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any type of seasoning on the chicken that you need?
Because I can't cook, I don't know, but
Yeah. Well, this is what I'll tell you. In every Hispanic household, there's one seasoning that makes everything taste better. I put it in my guacamole, I put it in my chicken, I put it in a bunch of stuff. And that's adobo.
I
Adobo
guess.
adobo will cure any bad taste and bland taste in anything. You put adobo on it, it's going to be good.
I got you.
What's your second question for me?
How do you like Puerto Rico?
It was nice. I went when I was in college. I feel like I didn't get to see like everything I wanted to see. I want to go back. But I mean, we got to go to a rainforest, which was all right. I mean, they built a path through the rainforest, and I feel like the animals aren't going to come on like a man-made path. So that was interesting. That like I feel like we didn't get a full feel of it, but I thought it was nice. I thought the beach was nice. I what I liked. See, I like to collect. Like growing up, I would like find like reptiles and amphibians, and I'd build habitats for them and bring them home, and like feed them and kind of watch them like grow and whatnot. And so I like that there's iguanas that are kind of just out there in Puerto Rico, and I would say if I went back, I'd want to have more of the food. I'd want to spend more time in Old San Juan because I only spent like a day or like a day there. So I'd like
Yeah.
to see more, but I do connect with a lot of people from the culture, and I have really close friends that are Puerto Rican. And the one thing that I'll say, and it's funny because I said it kind of joking, kind of serious, and then they proved me right. I said, "What is it about Puerto Ricans that everywhere they go, like they have flags in their pocket, like ready to go?" Like there's nothing going on, and then someone goes, "And Puerto Rico," and then all these flags come out, and it's it's just. So I was talking to my buddy, and he said to me at one of the football games we went to, he's like, "Oh man, we forgot our flag at the hotel." And I looked at my buddy like I just said that on the show, and then they went out to the Syracuse Purdue game because their son plays on the team, Enrique Cruz, and they had their flags in Puerto Rico, and I said, "There's something about Puerto Ricans; they always have flags like ready to go at all times. Like you could be walking down the street, total silence, and you could yell Puerto Rico, and somebody would take out a flag and start waving it." So, yeah, there's something cool about the culture. I'm guessing you've been to Puerto Rico.
Nah,
Oh, you
I
haven't been to
have.
Puerto Rico. Okay, because when you asked me about how I liked it, I thought maybe you had been there. So, my second question for you. Hmm. What's your favorite movie of all time?
Mm. It's a movie called The Blind Side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that movie
Why do you like it?
because it started from a football player that is an NFL player right now. That he struggled a lot because he was homeless, and
Yeah.
then he overcame that. He went to with a host family. He overcame all that.
Yeah, it's a great story about someone who believed in themselves and never gave up.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a good choice. What's your last question?
Uh, how do you see yourself in 10 years or now?
I would say and this is an interesting question because I always am like pushing myself. So it's funny because when you say 10 years, I'm thinking about like what type of stuff am I going to do in the next, 10 hours that people think is impossible. So I would say, I would like to have been a screenwriter for a movie. I'd like to work on a movie. I've acted, I've written. I'd like to actually be in a movie, writing a movie, doing both if I could. I would like to at least put a song out, like put some of my music out, and, build my brand in my company that we become even more of a national and international name. We've been able to become a national show, which I thank God for every day. I think it's crazy that we've had people from North Dakota, California, Texas, I mean all over the place listening or watching. So I would say I'd like to build the brand. I would definitely want to do some stuff with music and movies. And I would say to just continue to grow with the family of really good businesses that we work with, to just continue to find the right people because they bring a lot of uniqueness to what I do. And I mean, I would like to maybe look at expanding in certain areas. I'd probably say that.
Yeah.
All right, Fran. Favorite memory so far?
Favorite memory in the U.S. or where?
Anywhere.
Uh, that's a tough one. My favorite memory was when I graduated high school.
Okay. Why was that your favorite?
Because there's so many things that could have made me quit and go back to the Dominican, and I still fight it through and made it through my high school career. Yeah, it was really important.
When you did that and you fought through the adversity, what made you fight through it? What made you do it?
My family and mostly my grandpa, because my grandpa was always supporting me and giving me advice.
What's your grandfather's name?
Uh, Jose,
So, Jose, you said that he was a big part of you fighting the adversity and getting through it. Is there any advice that he gave you that you always think about?
he always told me to have fun and don't pay attention to what people say. Just be me.
Do you feel like you're doing a good job at that so far?
Yeah, yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody watching right now who's got a tough journey, going through a lot? Maybe they want to give up. What would you say?
Hard times don't last.
It's a good thing. Hard times, what does it say? Tough times don't last, tough people do.
Yeah.
So that coming from Fran here from me, Valenzuela of Alfred University, the Saxons men's basketball team, and the Dominican Republic as well. Fran, it has been my pleasure having you on the show. The Alfred University Saxons will tip off their season very soon here. We look forward to seeing you out there at Alfred University as well as on the road. Come out and support Fran and the team and come see what it's like to see tough people succeed. Fran, I appreciate your time. Had fun with you today. Your grandfather, Jose, has great advice, so keep taking it. And I look forward to getting some chicken, beans, and rice at some point, knowing that fully if we do, I'm going to have to cook because you've already made it clear that you're not cooking. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care.